People have long reiterated that anime is a feel-good genre. Sure, we can't generalize it all, and there are some really bleak and cynical ones out there, but generally speaking, it's like most anime shows us an idealized version of what could have been, fantasy world or otherwise. A lot of it, especially those in the shonen or rom-com genre, often talk about believing in yourself, following your dreams, or staying true to your feelings. And then there are those shows that give a slightly different type of satisfaction, one that appeals to our feelings of actually being more than what we show or what people think we are. So today, I'm going to be having a shorter and more relaxed list, giving recommendations on my favourite shows where the main character pretends to be weak or stays low-key, but is actually super strong. Let's begin with a cult classic, Rokka no Yusha. I'm not sure if cult classic would be an apt description, but Rokka is one of those mildly popular shows back when it was airing. It didn't set the world on fire like its seasonal peer Overlord, but it's still quite the intriguing mystery that garnered its fair share of fans. 6 heroes get summoned, but 7 arrive. There's obviously a traitor among us. And of course, the suspicion points towards our main character Adlet Maya, and it's up to him and his skills to survive and expose the real traitor. In the case of the protagonist, it's an interesting case. I mean, Adlet does carry the moniker of being the strongest man in the world. However, he's also the type of person who prefers to carry himself lightly, defining himself as an ordinary person as opposed to the other heroes and their grandiose. Oh, and he fights rather strategically too, claiming that being the strongest means being the most creative and flexible in the heat of the battle. Whether you agree with him or not, that's up to you. But Rokka no Yusha remains a fun blast from the past that you can still enjoy in the modern era. Next up is Mahoka. Mahoka is yet another interesting case. In a world where magicians in the top school get categorized into blooms, the overachievers, and weeds, the underachievers, our protagonist Tatsuya got classified in the latter. Yeah, the way the tests categorized him was to put him in the midst of the underdogs, those deemed to have deficiency in terms of magical skills, which is hilarious in hindsight, but it's not like Tatsuya cares. True, he doesn't outright try hard to pretend to be weak, but he does keep up a humble profile despite us fans knowing he's pretty much magical world god or something. In the end, I think that's the point of Mahoka. That's one of the key themes that binds the whole series together, and it's part of what made the series so popular back in the day. You can follow Tatsuya's exploits with his classmates and sister and see how he proves the world's systems wrong with each passing moment in Mahoka. It's got 2 seasons, a movie, and a flashback OVA, so that's a lot of content to consume. Those are some cool anime. But how about now we have some wacky rom-com hijinks for a break? Welcoming today's sponsors, Otome Domain. Otome Domain is a visual novel published by Shiravune, who you may remember from Utawareru Mono. It's newly released on Steam, and it's a handful. You get to follow the story of Minato, an orphan boy who, through circumstances, finds himself in an all-girls school. So there's only one thing left for him to do. Learn to cross-dress and blend in with the princesses, all the while fostering bonds with them and learning what they really are like when the curtains are down. We've got a great cast of girls to work with here too. Meet Hinata, Yuzu, and Kazari, all girls who come with a lot of fun quirks, along with Minato and his impeccable skill in cross-dressing and blending in as one of the girls. You just know there's some comedy waiting around every corner. Otome Domain is a game that I appreciated more the longer I played it and learnt about the characters. People back then thought so too, as it bagged home a couple of awards from as far back as 2016. If you're interested, then don't hesitate to follow Shiravune via Twitter and check the game out for yourself on its Steam page or its main website. All links are down there in the description box for you. In the overall scheme of things, however, I do think Tatsuya pales in overpoweredness compared to Wang Ling of Daily Life of the Immortal King. If you've not yet acclimated to the countless Chinese cultivation novels out there on the internet, Daily Life of the Immortal King might be a good starting point. It's got 3 seasons and has pretty much all the general tropes and plot points you need to experience to determine if the genre is for you or not. Anyway, back to Wang Ling. He actively decides to pursue a plain, everyday life as a teen. After all, traveling those realms can take a real toll on a body, and once you've reached that pinnacle of world-ending power, the first thing you'd want to do is just be plain old you. Unfortunately, stuff like that never happens in anime. Thus, he must once again take the mantle of being the strongest immortal being in the world to protect those he treasured. Senior high school has never been this eventful for the strongest genius this world has ever seen. Wang Ling's not alone in his dilemma, and if you're up for a show with a similar theme and a different take, here's The Disastrous Life of Psyche K.
そんなわけで食事でもどう？
あ、どんなわけだよ。
僕の名前はサイキクスオ。超能力者である。
Overpowered but hide their powers, preferring to stay away from the spotlight while having the misfortune to have these superpowered foes coming after them? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Wang Ling and Saiki Kuso would hit it up quite easily. After all, a shared dilemma is a strong builder of friendship. But generally speaking, if you've gotten familiar with the premise of daily life, you more or less know what you're getting with Psyche K, just without the insane overpowered character that breaks the scales. Psyche's got a whole assortment of powers nonetheless, just not in the same dimension-breaking scale. Still, I find this show really great due to its very comedic undertone. It feels like a parody of sorts, and Psyche ends up being a really relatable character, not for his powers, but for his straight man gimmick and how he does his internal monologues. His variety of powers also gets displayed in various levels of entertaining ways. A good takeaway though is that the anime airs as a series of shorts at roughly 5 minutes each, so if you're looking for something fun to watch in short bursts, a show that's easy to consume while waiting for something, The Disastrous Life of Psyche K is well worth your time.
いいのよ。身の程を知らず私に恋をしても、あなたに罪はないわ。なぜなら私は美少女だから。
And if you think this video is worth your time, make sure to hit that like button as well as taking time to subscribe for more content like this. Let's shift to something way more modern now, however, with Eminence in Shadow. Eminence in Shadow is one of those shows that came into the season with a surprising amount of hype. Even more surprisingly though, it maintained its hold on the community in a rather consistent basis. Yeah, we all know it wouldn't reach the heights of something like the big guns like Chainsaw Man or the sleeper hits like Bocce the Rock. Still, its fan base remained pretty loyal, and that's because Eminence in Shadow for me is a very honest show. Coming in, you know what you're gonna get, and you get it on a consistent basis. The Chuni aspect, an entire selection of girls that you'll surely find a waifu or two from, a plot that's engaging enough, and some cool action featuring Sid. It doesn't feel pretentious in any way, and Sid feels like the right amount of overpowered protagonist and awkward kid at heart with the idiot genius charm. He ended up becoming one of my favourite main characters in the season, mostly owing to just how cool and edgy his presentation is like. The show doesn't shy away from the fact that it's just power fantasy in a different flavour, and if you know what to expect and buy into it, Eminence in Shadow is something you'll definitely enjoy. Last but not least, a fan favourite now, One Punch Man. One Punch Man. It's the anime of 2015, and for good reason too. It takes a lot of the cliches and tropes we've known from action anime and gives them a spin, resulting in a parody anime that's one of the best of what it does. Also, this is a personal opinion, but I felt that One Punch Man piggybacked off the superhero trend that was picking up steam right around that era, both in the world of anime and Hollywood. Still, even without that context, I think that One Punch Man would have become a very popular show owing to its excellence in presentation and a healthy combination of both hype and dramatic moments. At this point, I think that Saitama needs no introduction, and the same goes for why the show is on the list. Saitama may be the strongest hero of them all, but you wouldn't have guessed it as one of the rare people who aren't familiar with One Punch Man. He doesn't stand out, he doesn't have all those cool and breathtaking powers, and he doesn't carry himself like the strongest hero in the world should. However, only a fool would underestimate him, as one punch literally is all it takes for Saitama to end even the vilest evildoers the world's ever seen. One Punch Man did have a second season, and while I think the franchise peaked in its first season, you might also find the sequel worth a watch. Amongst the 7 titles, which one do you think is the best? Is there any other similar show that you'd like to recommend? I'll be reading the comments, so make sure to give your feedback as well as possible list suggestions in the future. In the meantime, I hope you've had fun watching this video and take time to check out the channel for more videos. And don't forget to check out Otome Domain, the link's in the description. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you next time.